Remember when you were young and falling in love, if you barely touched fingertips, you felt butterflies in your stomach? Hi, I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh for Local Now, and I am obsessed with the science of relationships. Can we talk about the 7-year itch? People often ask me, is the 7-year itch a thing? Well, yeah, it's the title of a Marilyn Monroe movie, but that's about it. There's no diagnosis that says when you hit 7 years, you're going to get into the doldrums of marriage and you'll be bored to tears and you'll want to leave and look for some excitement. For some people, that feeling comes after 3 months or 3 years or 25 years. There's no time on it. However, before I talk about how to combat boredom when it does show up in a relationship, let's talk about why. You know, lifelong monogamy wasn't actually the norm in our hunter-gatherer past. Now, don't get me wrong, plenty of humans mate for life, but it wasn't the majority for a couple reasons. When Till Death Do Us Part was invented, death was pretty imminent. People were dying all kinds of ways, from disease and war and fights and starvation, etc. And so it was pretty easy to say, yes, I will marry you for life, because life might not have been that long. There's another reason. Back in our hunter-gatherer past, it took fewer years to raise a child and get them up and out of the nest. That's because the skills that one needed for survival were pretty simple. A little hunting skills, fishing, cooking, and knowing which poisonous plants to eat or not. And as soon as a child was past puberty, they often had a family of their own, and the parents were off to find new relationships. But today, kids take a lot of investment. They take many years of elementary, high school, and even college. And if there's a number of kids in the nest, that whole process can take like 30 years. So long-term monogamy is the norm, and it's also the best deal we have for raising kids in our society, right? Now, having said that, I will remind you that 40% of American babies have been born out of wedlock consistently for the last few decades. So as society starts to take up the burden of child rearing, maybe providing childcare in workplaces, longer parental leaves, etc., then we see the change of the family. But in the meantime, your family, if you're in a relationship and you have kids you're trying to raise and you're bored to tears, let me tell you how long-term, joyful, happy, sexy couples do it, according to research. First of all, think of your relationship as a Venn diagram, 2 circles that overlap, each representing 2 autonomous people. If the circles are too overlapped, the relationship becomes fused and the individual gets lost. This can cause all kinds of feelings of wanting to bust out and being bored and feeling restrained, right? So you might want to look for ways that you can do other activities and bring the excitement of that back into the relationship, whether it's taking up a new hobby or your new career, things that make you a more interesting person that you can bring back to the overlapping part of your Venn diagram relationship. Now, if your Venn diagram is such that you're barely overlapping and you have too much autonomy, then maybe you don't have intimacy. Remember, what is a relationship? A relationship is an exchange of care. So if your Venn diagram isn't giving enough care and putting the relationship first, then maybe you need to put more into the relationship instead of looking outside of the relationship for excitement. So how do you add excitement? How do you get over boredom? Well, long-term, happy, committed relationships will often say that they work at their relationship. But what does that mean? What they mean is they create novelty. They do new things together all the time and new things individually and bring that excitement back into the relationship. Yeah, that's why couples take up skydiving or going on roller coasters and doing all kinds of fun adventure travel, because it brings excitement to their relationship. Now, when I talk about novelty, that also can apply to the bedroom. Remember when you were young and falling in love, if you barely touched fingertips, you felt butterflies in your stomach. But when 2 people have been together so long and know each other's bodies so well, it's like they're playing an instrument and they got that guitar down to just one tattered string. They know the go-to positions, they know what to do, and as a result, they start to lose sensitivity. So my advice would be change rooms, change wardrobe, and change positions. Create novelty everywhere you can to make it more exciting. I promise you this, that people who stay in committed long-term relationships, according to research, live longer, have better mental health, better physical health, and they accumulate more wealth. Because two brains are always better than one. So I recommend that you work on your relationship and get past that 3-year itch, 7-year itch, 12-year itch, whatever it may be. I'm Dr. Wendy Walsh. Thanks for watching on Local Now. You can find me anywhere on my social media at Dr. Wendy Walsh.